Namaskar. How to unlock your next great achievement. But first, should we even care about an achievement? Do you care about an achievement? And what exactly is an achievement? In my personal view, and I'm not here to talk about either the views of the government or of my views as a civil servant, but in my personal view as an individual, an achievement is any action or accomplishment that used to feel like a distant dream, that once scared you, that felt just beyond your reach. It was a boundary that you did not think you could ever break, until one day you did. This could be something as simple as feeling comfortable raising your hand in class. Or it could be something as simple as finally understanding that topic that you've been struggling with for almost a month. It could be winning a match if you're into sports. Or it could be organizing a great event such as this. It could be getting into your dream university. It could also be getting into your dream job. For me, on days like this, a sense of achievement is to be able to stand alone on a stage, under the spotlight, face a large and brilliant audience like you, feel slightly nervous, but yet hold my ground. Because not so long ago, I couldn't. I still remember when I was 12, on a hot summer day such as today, I was seated in my science class. Now, this was a very interactive class. Our teacher loved asking us questions to gauge whether we were understanding what was being taught, if we were actually interactive, whether we felt like we were part of that class. And suddenly that day, oops, she pointed towards me. Unfortunately, she did not ask me a science question, because I'm guessing that I could have perhaps answered. Instead, she asked me, Neha, why do you hesitate to raise your hand in class? Do you not speak to grown-ups? Are you this quiet also at home? And I was mortified. All I wanted in that moment was for the bell to ring and the class to get over. But this episode made me think, am I shy? Or am I scared to be wrong? Or worse, am I scared that I might be right, because then I'll just keep having higher expectations of myself? And that, my dear friends, is how your next big achievement usually begins, with identifying that you have hit a boundary. But first, why should you even care about unlocking your next big achievement? What is the big deal? First, you should care about unlocking your next big achievement because it helps you test assumptions about yourself. This helps you understand who you are and what you could do if you put your mind and your heart to it. For instance, you could, like the teenage me, think that, I can never stand on stage and speak in front of people. How do you know that? Have you ever tried being on stage? So when you do unlock that next big achievement of yours, whatever it means for you, you will realize that your previous assumption that you cannot break this boundary was perhaps due to a lack of experience. It wasn't because you really could not break that boundary. On some days, however, you will realize that your previous assumption is true, that this boundary is not yours to break. Like, I wanted to be a surgeon when I was in school. I wasn't sure if I could be. But then one day, I was playing with my friend fence on a very rocky patch of land, and I fell. I fell and I hurt my foot and it started bleeding. And the sight of blood made me all giddy. Oops. That is the day I realized that becoming a surgeon is probably not a great idea for either me or for my future patients. Second, when you unlock your next big achievement, you demonstrate your potential to do even bigger things to yourself and to others. All achievement is incremental. You achieve one thing, and then the next one starts looking a little less scary and more doable. And before you realize it, you've hopped on to even bigger things that you wouldn't have thought of earlier. Same with people. They see you achieve one thing, they get more confident in your ability to deliver the next big thing. And you end up getting more opportunities to further explore your potential. Third, when you unlock that next big achievement of yours, you give hope to others that this is possible, that this is an option. For instance, I had never even heard of economics as a subject until I was in class 8th. I was always going to be a surgeon, remember? Then one day when I was in class 8th, my school friend told us that her elder sister, who by the way we all looked up to, had done really well in class 12 examinations. And among the many things that she was considering, she was thinking of pursuing economics honors at a top university. Now remember, this is after I'd hurt my foot, and it bled, and I felt dizzy, and I was wondering, what should I be when I grow up? So when my friend told us about her elder sister, I thought, aha, maybe I will become a cool economist one day. I am today an Indian Economic Service Officer with the Government of India since 2015. I have pursued an economics honors from the Delhi University, master's in economics, MPhil coursework in economics. I used to be a PhD in economics student at JNU. More recently, I earned a master in public administration in international development from Harvard University. And it all started with me hearing about someone that I looked up to wanting to study a subject that I'd never heard of from a university that I'd never thought of. So never underestimate the importance of an achievement, irrespective of how small it might seem to you. Which brings us to, how can you unlock your next big achievement? First, it all starts with identifying that you have hit a boundary that you would like to break. Let's come back for a moment to me as a 12-year-old in that science class, where I was put on the spot and made to confront what was it that was holding me back from speaking up. Now, the 12-year-old me wasn't very philosophical, so I did not have an answer to these questions. Instead, I turned my attention to something completely different, to NCC, the National Cadet Corps. My parents had been scouts and guides during their school days. My dad had also done NCC during his school days. A lot of my friends had joined NCC. I joined NCC in class 7th. The thing is, I was really excited about NCC, and I wanted to do really well. But there was a problem. NCC was loud. We marched loudly. We stomped our feet loudly. The sergeant had a loud, commanding voice. And my NCC officer was the fiercest woman I had ever known. However, as I kept showing up to the NCC field, every Wednesday and Saturday, something began to change. We were all expected to shout a number during roll call. We all chanted, left, right, left, in unison as we marched. NCC gave me a strong sense of community, and slowly I began to start feeling more comfortable using my voice. And I began to dream. Imagine, what if someday I could be a sergeant and command an NCC squad? Imagine the shy me commanding in a loud voice that not just my NCC squad standing right behind me would be able to hear, but also the dignitaries standing far away. And my dreams, they spilled over to the classroom until they were no longer dreams. I began raising my hand more often in class. I began working harder on the NCC field. I began to feel more comfortable taking up space. And I began to feel that I have something to contribute, both within as well as outside the classroom. This then spilled over to my college, where I decided to contest student union elections and went on to win them. Which brings us to our second ingredient: find and value your cheerleaders. You cannot unlock your next big achievement without your cheerleaders. Who are your cheerleaders? Your cheerleaders are people who have an unshakable belief in your potential and in your abilities. They believe that you can go on to do great things, even when you don't always believe it. For instance, remember, one more thing is, by the way, that your cheerleaders can either be gentle or they can force you to confront your fears. They can be as gentle as your loving mom and dad and brother and sister who think you are simply the best. Doesn't matter what you're trying to achieve next. This could also be that teacher who puts you on the spot, makes you confront your fears because she believes you have so much more potential than you realize. This could be that NCC officer who pushes you harder to train every single day because she's silently preparing you for a national camp that you haven't even thought of yet. The strange thing about cheerleaders, you don't always realize who they are. For instance, when I did become a sergeant and commander of an NCC squad, and then went on to become the best junior wing NCC cadet of my state, and then went on to become the second best junior wing NCC cadet in India at the National Republic Day camp in 2002, it was my NCC officer who ran to make a call to my dad. She was so excited that she couldn't wait for me to give him the news. My NCC officer was and remains one of my biggest cheerleaders. So no matter what you decide to do with your life, please identify, find, and cherish your cheerleaders. Because it doesn't matter how strong or how confident you think you are. There will be days when you will fall short on motivation, when you will be too tired, or when you start to lose hope. And in those days, you can borrow your cheerleaders' belief in you. What if you are wrong and they are right? What if you can indeed achieve more than you think you can? Lastly, my dear friends, be fair to yourself. This means give yourself time. This will not happen in one day. Be patient, keep working. There will be bad days. There will be failure. And on those days, be resilient, be persistent. You will never know how close you are to your next big achievement when you start to lose hope. So hang in there. And lastly, ask for help. Seek mentors, your guiding lights. These could be friends, family, seniors, teachers, anyone who can help you in your process to navigate, to confront the boundary that you're trying to break. You do not have to do this alone. To conclude, if you are in a position where you can encourage people to believe in themselves, to aim higher, please do. You do not know the catalytic impact it can have on them. We all need someone who believes in us. And as for you, my dear friends, unlocking your next big achievement will require humility, courage, and vulnerability. Humility to acknowledge that you have hit a boundary. Courage to want to overcome that boundary. And vulnerability to be able to ask for help when needed from your cheerleaders, from your mentors. And when you do unlock that next big achievement of yours, you will, in the process, understand yourself a little bit better. You might also give hope to someone else to believe in their dreams and make it a reality. So, what big achievement will you unlock next? Thank you.